and welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I am your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, Freicha Purim, everybody.
Happy Purim, happy Purim. So, we are going to be discussing Purim as an experience. If nobody knows what Purim is and you're a listener here, people like to say that it's Jewish Halloween. It is actually the opposite of that. It's not about getting, it's about giving, and about hearing the story of Queen Esther, which was a story about a woman in Persia who was able to save the Jews with her wit and faith in Hashem. All right, so Ima, we were to talk a little bit about some creative Purim costumes and some Purim antics. I was going to discuss the Purim antics that Menachem pulled back in the day. One of the themes.
Tell our listeners who's Menachem.
Menachem is my little brother, and they had some. It's traditional to have Purim pranks in school. Some of them go too far, and some of them go just right. And I think my brother's was just right, but people didn't understand it. They were too narrow-minded. He basically he stacked up all the chairs in the school, and then and some people took the initiative and put flour on the fans.
He did not do the flour. That's the thing. He said all he did was he just TP'd everything. He put toilet paper all over the place, and that was it. But evidently a group of boys came in after him and threw flour everywhere. And he told the principal, he said that he wasn't responsible for that what he did was non-destructive, but the principal didn't believe him, and he, put him in with everybody else, and he got suspended for a day.
Well, I know my sister pulled some pranks. It was very traditional that the girls' schools would prank the boys' schools, and the boys' schools would try to prank the girls' schools. And one of them was they put balloons everywhere and streamers everywhere, and I thought that was really neat. They had little, Freilich Purim stuff everywhere. One of them was like a balloon, in different shapes and whatnot, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, one of the Purim things that they did, a TA that actually made it onto the radio because Tom Marr, who had a talk show at the time in Baltimore, saw it. And you know how a lot of the public schools in Baltimore City were putting up these big banners on their schools that said "Believe." So at TA, they put up this huge banner on their school that said "Behave." And Tom Marr was driving to work and saw that and mentioned that on his program, that he really liked it, that he thought that the Jewish boys' school had the right idea.
Oh, sure. Totalitarianism. That's perfect. It fits into just what a little Jewish boy needs. Pure and total control.
Well, you need to learn how to behave. I think I call it discipline. Good discipline.
Yes. Total discipline. Mm-hmm. Just pure blind obedience.
But anyway, so what are one of the more creative, like Shalach Manas packages?
Well, I've been seeing lately a lot of nurses and doctor kind of outfits where the whole family dresses up in like doctor, nurse, patient, uniforms and costumes, and then they give the Shalach Manos, which is like the gifts that usually exchange, shaped like a medic's bag or whatnot. I've seen that.
Yeah, for those people though who are not familiar with Jewish customs, Shalach Manos is a basket, is a decorative gift basket that we give of food to friends to show,
camaraderie, appreciation.
Yeah. I guess that would be what you would say, yeah.
Building up a community. There's a lot of various reasons for it, but it's all about giving gifts and giving also to the poor. A lot of people, not this year, but years before, you'd have a lot of young high school students collect for different programs, some in Israel, some in America. I know what I did was I was with my friends, and we dressed up as army men, and we would come along and start collecting throughout Baltimore. Unfortunately, one time, me and my friends were doing it, and we got jumped. We got robbed. Luckily, it wasn't. It was before we started going ahead and collecting. But we got robbed. We had to call the police, and we had to get them involved and whatnot. It was like these three big guys. Me and my friends, we were just puny 10th graders. We were about to go into whole head on head, and I was gonna do a whole big fight, and then they kind of pushed us around, and then we pushed them back around, and then they kind of just grabbed our bikes and ran away. Um, but yeah, no, I've seen a lot of creative groups that do collecting. Sometimes they go ahead and dress up as sailors. I know one year they did that. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Do you remember the Jewish family that dressed up as an Amish family, and they went so far as they actually got a wagon and a horse,
Oh
and they were
yeah.
going around the Jewish community distributing their shalach manas dressed up as this Amish family with a horse and a wagon. And I remember a police car uh, was across the street and saw them. And I saw the police lady pick up her car radio, and she was talking and talking and talking and looking at them and talking and talking and talking. And then she put down the radio and she drove away. So I was just imagining her calling her, her superior saying, hey, there's somebody here in a horse and wagon. What shall I do? And they probably told her it's okay. It's just, it's just supposed to be like a type of fun religious observance. Just, leave them alone.
So, out of curiosity, what did you celebrate Purim extensively when you were growing up?
I wasn't religious, and I wasn't familiar. Well, I was familiar with Shalach Manos and all that, but we didn't do it. We went to shul, and they had a children's reading of the Megillah, which was a lot of fun, and they'd pass up the Groggers and the Homeotashing. And I remember that being on, and they would put on maybe a puppet show or maybe a magic show. But as for us, the non-religious kids actually doing things in our own family and in our own communities, like shalach manos or getting dressed up, we just didn't do that. We just didn't do that. It was as simple as that. We went to shul, but that was about it. But your father and I reminisce about the type of Homeotashing we had when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had 3 choices of Homeotashing, and that was it. You had either cherry or poppy seed or prune butter.
Prune butter?
Yes.
I'd be okay with prune, but prune butter just sounds worse.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm assuming more elderly people enjoyed that flavor?
Not exactly elderly, but in those days, I don't know, there wasn't too much of a variety. It's not like today, oh my gosh, you get all these creative Homeotashing of, you have peanut butter Homeotashing, you've got chocolate chip, you've got apricot, you've got
blueberry.
And you got every type imaginable. You have marshmallow with sprinkles. I mean, every type imaginable.
Well, actually, that's what I've kind of noticed on sifting on the internet and going on Reddit. I noticed that a lot of more non-religious Jews are celebrating Purim now. Like I've seen more non-religious Jews, bake Homeotashing, dress up in costume, even hear the Megillah, which is very interesting compared to what you were just saying. But when you were, I guess, in Machon Chana, did you guys do any programs, or what exactly did you do?
Oh, wow. Well, they had the dormitory. We had a great dormitory counselor. She was terrific, and I want to give her a shout out. I don't know what her married name is, but her maiden name was Sterna Groner, and she was Yitzhak Groner's daughter. He was the shliach, I think, in Melbourne at the time. She was amazing. She used to organize all sorts of celebrations and fabringans and get-togethers, and she organized an entire Purim carnival for the community that we had in the dormitory. I was placed in charge of the haunted house. So I took the laundry room, which was all dark. I took a shadel head and I painted it up to look very gruesome, and I put it in the dryer with a flashlight. And then I made on a table a fake body with spaghetti in the inside,
yeah.
One of those things. The girls in the dormitory got together with a tape recorder and made a whole recording of all these scary sounds of screaming and of ooh, 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 and those type of scary type sounds that I would play. Then there was a girl in our dormitory who had been a fashion model and had been in theater, and she knew a lot about costumes and stage makeup. And I had this robe that I bought for myself it was like a multicolored robe. So
Technicolor Dreamcoat?
you might say, yeah. So I put on this multicolored robe, and she got an old shadle. She put it on me. She teased it out and sprayed it, and then she took the stage makeup and she made my face to look absolutely gruesome. So I had a friend of mine take a picture of me. I sent the picture to my mother. In those days, you actually had to send real photographs. There was no such thing as the iPhone, sending things over the iPhone or anything like that.
The internet?
So no such thing.
What?
That you're talking 1970s.
1970s?
You're talking about 1970.
Oh my goodness!
The ancient times.
Were Jews allowed in clubhouses?
So I sent it to my mother with a letter saying, if any of your friends ask you what your daughter is doing now, just show them this picture. So I set up this haunted house and, made the whole thing dark. And so when the kids came in, they were hearing the tape recorder. And I was at the top of these steps that led down to the laundry room. And I had this pole. And I started to bang on the steps and come down with this gruesome costume. Well, we had some kids that screamed and just ran out the door. We had a group of girls that came into the haunted house. And they were walking around, and I came down the steps banging this pole, and they screamed, and these were like teenage girls, and they ran out, and one of them yelled, "I'm going to have my father sue you!"
Oh my gosh.
It was absolutely hysterical.
That sounds awesome.
So a year later, I got a job teaching at the local elementary school there, English studies, fourth grade English studies. And one of the books that the girls read for a book report I think it was called The Littlest Witch. It was very popular at the time, about a 10-year-old girl who actually was a witch and decided she wants to be normal and go to the regular school and everything.
So like Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Similar. It was a funny little book. So the little girl gave the book report on it. And so I wanted to make clear to the children that we don't believe in witches. We're Jewish. And
we believe in witches. It's just you're not supposed to act on being Wiccan and whatnot because it's considered paganism and all that stuff. But that's just the side.
So I said to the children, I said, we as Jews don't believe in in witches, and the children in the class very vehemently insisted, but we saw a real witch. We really saw a real witch. I said, I said, what? And they said, yeah. They said, we saw a real witch. They insisted they saw a real witch. I said, where was this? And they said, it was last Purim. He said, we went to Machon Chanukah, the Purim Carnival, and at the Purim Carnival, they had a real witch. So awesome. I said to them, girls, that wasn't a real witch. It was one of the girls in the dormitory dressed up like a monster. And I said, no, she was a real witch. You should have seen her. She was a real witch. I said, girls, I know that was not a real witch. And they said, how would you know? And so I finally said, girls, I was the witch. And they cracked up laughing. They couldn't believe it. They came home. They all told their parents, well, guess what? Our teacher was the witch. They were like, wow, so proud of the fact that, wow, their teacher was the witch at the Purim Carnival.
Do you remember a book that used to read to us when we were kids about this teacher who was a really nice, sweet teacher? And then the whole point was she had her substitute teacher take over, and her substitute teacher was like a real mean, almost like a witch person.
I remember.
And then
at
the end, it's actually turns out it was just her all along with makeup.
Yes, I remember that book. I don't remember it, but I remember that book. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking of the time when I was in yeshiva in Israel on Purim, and unfortunately, I can't really remember most of it. But that's due to the fact that we had only 12 boys in our school, and we had about 24 bottles of vodka, and we finished all of that in 3 days straight. Because the another part of Purim is called Shushan Purim, and you're supposed to celebrate Purim in a city that has walls that were built during the times of Joshua. And in the old city of Jerusalem, they celebrate Purim for about 2 days. And if the Purim falls out on a Friday, they extend it to 3 days, which means Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday, which means 3 days straight of a celebrating Purim. So I remember dressing up as actually a punk. I remember giving myself a mohawk and walking around with a bloody T-shirt. And I didn't realize that when you're in certain areas, someone walks around and they see you with blood, they kind of don't think it's just a prank. They think it's real. And I tried getting into a club and be like, hey, I'm just trying to get in. And they're like, what's on your shirt? I'm like, it's a costume. It's not real. And they looked at it, they examined it, and they realized that, like, real blood browns, and they understood that knowledge, and they're like, okay, it's fake, it's just a prank. But some people just weren't a huge fan of it.
That is interesting. That I didn't know. It's very interesting. I remember though your Purim costume that year.
Oh, which one?
The caveman.
The caveman.
That was
yes.
That was so funny. What happened was, Saadia, I was getting some material at Joanne Fabrics to make a Purim costume for your younger sister. She wanted to be an Egyptian princess. So I wanted to buy this like nice gold material and make a gathered skirt for her and like maybe something on top. So you were there and you saw this leopard material and you took it, you decided it would be interesting to make like a loincloth or something, like a caveman. So you took it over to the ladies that were at the counter there where they measured the material and they cut it for you. And you said to them, how much of this would I need to go around my waist for a loincloth? Well, they cracked up laughing. And then one of them said to you, okay, where's the camera?
That's cute. Well,
and then I remember what happened afterwards. That was hysterical. You made your costume, and there was one Motzui Shabbos where I was at a bridal shower. I wasn't home. I was at a bridal shower.
Oh, yeah.
That was like I'd say about 5 blocks away, maybe a mile away. Okay. It was Saturday night, and you wanted to show your Purim costume to some friends of yours. So our neighborhood here, let's put it this way, Saturday night, you got some pretty rough characters that are driving and walking around in our old neighborhood. And your friends came up in the car, and you put on this caveman outfit with this little loincloth and this thing that went across maybe the top, and your chest was bare except for this like this piece of material that went across it. And you came out, you showed them your Purim costume. Fine, they drive away. You turn around to go back into the house and realize you had accidentally locked yourself out. So you had to walk 5 blocks Saturday night in that getup.
Oh, yeah.
And go to the bridal shower and walk in there with all these ladies sitting there to get the house key from me.
Oh, honey, dear, you look like you're going to catch a cold. I remember that, actually. I do. I love dressing up for Purim. This year, I didn't dress up and everything like that just because, I'm still in the year of Avelis, in the year of mourning. So dressing up isn't something I can do. And my girlfriend also, she lost her mother, and she's also in the year of mourning. So we both didn't dress up. So we decided next year we're going to dress up. We're going to do the Roaring 20s, and we're going to do we're going to go all out. And I think that's what be fun to do. Purim, for me, it's a lot about just everyone being happy. It's a time that you're supposed to make yourself happy, where you're not allowed to be depressed. You're not allowed to be upset. And when you feel that everyone else, no matter what's going on, no matter how life is happening, that they are just determined, like, you know what, today is the day I'm just going to be happy. And today is the day where you have to be happy. You have to be just excited about everything. And I think when you feel that in a community, in a people where today is the day that we're all just going to be happy, even though we're going through some stuff, it helps me know that life can get better.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay.
I try very hard. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, whatever. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your mother, tell your father, tell your cousin, tell that long-distance person who's been stalking for the past 5 days. It doesn't matter. Anybody, just get the name out.
And remember, people in my age bracket will certainly remember the prune Homeotashing.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful Freilich and Purim. Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please like and share and find us on Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast. We are looking forward to hearing from you.